Chicago. I am not.
Bro,
the only part you probably do is South Chicago. That's about it.
Stop, fuck, man. Let's examine that.
And so what you guys say?
Look, you just said, I've been to Chicago many times and I haven't seen any crime. That is the same mindset of a person that would say, I've walked down a dark alley and I've never seen a rape. I've walked down plenty of dark alleys and I've never seen in the alleys that I've walked down.
Nick,
that you're applying here. And it doesn't make any sense. Because you have not
stop mute me, nigga.
Because you have not seen a rape.
You what crime?
Yo, wait.
Come on, man.
Bro, stop it.
You stop it. Y'all need to stop that.
Get into your fucking feelings. All right, cool.
Y'all need to stop that bullshit. Stop that bullshit.
I know it. This is the masculinity, man.
And this is why y'all give house niggas green.
I know, but show ass in the fucking kitchen like a bitch. How about that? Right? Why don't you talk to the silverware in the kitchen? Somebody who gives a fuck about your goddamn emotional opinion. Don't come in this motherfucking room and make a fucking statement and then goddamn get defensive when someone try to break down your fucking life. Because what you said was fucking stupid. If you are saying that you've been to Chicago many fucking times and you haven't seen any crime, why don't you go tell the family who was affected by the goddamn crime, right? Go to the goddamn cemetery, right, on a Saturday, or go to a goddamn funeral home, or matter of fact, go to a goddamn mother who just saw her goddamn son get shot the fuck down at a gas station, right, and tell her, you don't see no crime in Chicago because of where you're going. Ma'am, your son did not just get goddamn killed by fucking crime in Chicago. I see all uppity white people. Why don't you go deliver that rhetoric to the people who are directly affected by fucking crime, and they gonna look at your ass and probably smack you in your fucking face for being goddamn ignorant about the realities of crime in Chicago. Right? How about you do that shit?
Joyful. Yeah. White goat. Oh, crisp as a thicket of thorns, with a collar of gold for thy throat, a scarlet bough for thy thorns. Yeah, in the dusty air, they build me a shrine. All green is the garland I wear, but they feed it with blood for dew. After the orange bars that rip the green west dying or dead, O Lord of the stars, I come to thee, crying. The ambrosia moon that arose with breast slow heaving in splendor drops wine from her infinite snows, ineffably, utterly, tenderly. The ambrosial moon that arose with breast slow heaving in splendor drops wine from her infinite snows.
Go read a book. Go to the gym, fatty. It's like the only solution.
Arise on my desert of sorrow, the magic lies of me swoon, with lust of rain tomorrow. Ages and ages ago, I stood on the bank of a river, holy and holy and holy I know, forever and ever and ever. A priest in the mystical shrine, I muttered a redderless rune, till the waters were redder than wine, in the blush of the heart. I and my brother, priest, worship the wonderful woman, with a body lithe as a beast's, subtly, horribly hidden. Deep in the pit of her eyes, I saw the image of death. They drew the water of sighs from the well of her lullaby breath. She sitteth veiled forever, brooding over the waste. She hath stirred or spoken never. She is fiercely and chaste. What madness made me away from the silence of utmost held? The grey cold slime of the snake, and her poisonous body held. By night I ravished a maid, from the father's camp to the cave. I bared the beautiful blade, I dipped her thrice eye the wave. I slit her throat as a lamb's, and the fount of blood leapt high. With my clamorous dirty rags, like a stain on the shield of the sky. With blood and censored in song, I rent the mysterious veil. My eyes gaze long, the deep of that blissful bay. My cold gray kisses wake from the silence of utmost I held. The gray coastline of the snake that was beautiful what beheld. But God, I was not content with the blasphemous secret of years. The veil is hardly rent, where the eyes rain stones from tears. So I clung to the lips and the left, as the storms of death waited, the storms of the grievous bereft, with a swing of her soul unsated. Wherefore, reborn as I am, by a stream profane and foul, in the reign of the tortured lamb, in the realm of the senseless owl, I am set apart from the rest by need of the mystic rule. That reads in peril and pest, the ambrosial moon.
He's got a whiner voice.
They can bring the riotous car, galloping love, straight to the steady rain, the line, hard.
The internet is undefeated.
Fading way, the space of
It's Cymbalta. Get AI a Cymbalta to cigarette.
Oh, secret sweet, cursed on it out to caress, out the flame of her feet, the night of our terrible tresses. Is it a wonder then, if the people are mad with blindness, nothing is stranger to men than silence and wisdom and kindness. For the price of a butt of sugar, with these and God for a gift, it needs no wine to be merry. I have bought for a wafer of bread, a garden of poppies and clover, for a water bitter and dead, the foam of fire flowing over, the lamb in his prison fair, and the owl's blind stupor. Arise, be ye wise, and strong and fair, and the nectar floating your eyes. Arise, O ambrosial moon, by the strong immemorial spell, by the subtle vertical rule, that is mighty in heaven and hell. Drip the mystical dews on the tongues of the tender thorns, in the shade of initiate views, remote from the desert dawns. Satyrs and fauns I call, bring your beauty to man. I am the mate for the owl. I am the passionate Pan. Come, oh, come to the dance, leaping with wonderful whips, life on the stroke of a glance, death in the stroke of the lips. I am hidden beyond, shedding secrets anew, smitten to by the fond folly of wisdom in you. Come, while the moon sheds her ambrosial splendor, reels in the redless room, ineffably, utterly tender. Hark! The pealing cry of deadly hurt in the heart. Hyacinth, hyacinth, I speak to death by
She could say really horrible, terrible people.
swift. Oh, maiden moon, send thy grey moons after.
3 minutes.
Turn the dolorous gaze to soft and ambiguous laughter. More minutes, more. Surely will comfort so, or we laugh at you both. Hours
Whenever it comes out. How do I know about it?
Imagine all the
Adrian, look, is they release their crime stats saying, oh, look, it's crime went down. And quietly mentioning, oh yeah, we haven't included LA, New York, Chicago, maybe Atlanta, whatever, the major cities are. They left them out, and then like 4 months later, oh, now we've included them. Yeah, now here's the real stats. So they get their their news clips saying crime has gone down under Biden, when in fact it hasn't. And then that whole thing with Trump sending National Guard to D.C. There's, again, they say, well, crime has gone down. It's still like one of the highest crime cities, it still has one of the highest crime rates for U.S. cities. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I'm only here for a few minutes. Please continue.
Wasn't there an article that came out, I think, about
that came out about what?
the FBI and the crime report?
Oh yeah. I remember reading about it. And it was a few years ago. And there's even a thing, the Biden administration, and I saw this because when you look up the Bureau of Justice statistics, they had crime stats that broke everything down. Racial demographics, ethnic demographics, who was committing which crimes, where, when, where, and how. Under Biden, they basically dummied up the way they reported the stats. So there was less data. So now if I'm talking about it, the pushback I get is, oh, well, those are old stats. We've got new stats. The new stats, in a general way, can still confirm the same conclusions, but it's much less informative. Anyways, please, you were doing a good job. I don't want to interrupt that.
Man, I gotta stop letting dumb shit go unchallenged, man. Tell people what they found when they say this stuff. Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Trying to get Nora to create an apology video. What do you think, Diego? I think it's just like
I'm good at
on her behalf.
My bad, y'all. People say too much fucking stupid shit, and it goes unchallenged. Let shit go unchallenged. Motherfuckers gonna start adopting that and believing that as universal truth and a world. And they're gonna get comfortable with spouting dumb shit all the fucking time. Ain't nobody said nothing about it. Nobody chose you, so therefore it must be true. So I'm gonna keep saying it. No, motherfucker.
How can you ever hope to achieve anything if your life is...
Adrian, I was one of those people.
I like to get hard out of space or something. Not this hard. Returns to outer space, I think we finally hit the peak.
No, I mean, I was one of those people who just accepted what was ever said. But once I started digging, it was like, what the...
Now I gotta look at this goddamn 18-wheeler on this flatbed trying to do a fucking U-turn. And this motherfucker basically just jacked up. I want to qualify to have it together for everything that's going on in the country. Oh, and that's another thing. Why haven't we seen any rooms about illegals obtaining goddamn life?
And you have two of them. One is the number 9 of 40, and the other one is the 13 of 40.
That to me is a national standard.
Illegals doing what? What did you? Illegals doing what?
To drive 18-wheelers, knowing they're not qualified, they can't even really speak the language, read the language. I mean, god damn.
Yeah, the DOJ is, I think it's the DOJ, is suing, well, it's suing, I know it's suing California, and a couple other states, but with California in particular, like 6 months ago, they said, look, you're not complying with the federal law in the way you're issuing these truck truck driver licenses. In California, this is my summary of it. California said, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And then they continue to not do it. So now the DOJ is suing them, suing California to get into compliance. It's really ridiculous what they do. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, like, if I had to go get a class 1 license, you have to do the training and everything else. But it also receives all of those things. And here's the point, they always say, well, gee, it's so you're discriminating against illegals. Oh, they're mostly brown people, so you just don't like brown people. No. You can give those licenses to Americans who've come and immigrants who've come here legally. Yeah, you come here legally. You want to become a truck driver? You've learned the language. You're good to go. Take the courses and do it.
The gift from God is such to your soul. Cannot give.
Anyways, Adrian, now you've infected
somebody's unqualified as CDL drivers. Right? And I think these families should be able to goddamn sue the governors of the state that allow such shit to go on under their watch. I think the families should be able to sue the governor. Because how the fuck you let this shit go on under your watch, under your leadership? You're the president of that state. How the fuck can you let this shit go on? These people can't speak the language. They can't speak the language. I'm pretty sure they can't read the language. How the fuck are you passing the test?
This one's for you,
They
Charlie.
can the test in your language, right? Cool. But guess what? You still have to read these English these signs out here. You still gotta read this shit in English. So no matter if they give you the test in goddamn Spanish, you still gonna have to learn how to read these fucking signs. DOT regulations,
what it's like to live above the being here
all
in
types
Chicago.
of shit. How the fuck do y'all get past this shit?
Well, look, if you relax the laws or relax the procedures, the only reason that the DOJ is involved is because trucking involves interstate commerce and travel across state lines. So it falls under those regulations. And so the DOJ is like, no, you can't do that. And in fact, when California passed its AB 5, which was a union-backed, farce of a law that claimed to try and help workers from being misclassified as independent contractors. It immediately put 75,000 independent truckers out of work. And the only thing that saved them was the fact that because there are interstate federal laws governing trucking, they got accepted. Now, sadly, that went through the court system, and it was by the California Supreme Court, which upheld the rule and overturned the stay. But then we went to the Supreme Court, and the conservative court, this will make the liberals very happy. Here's the case. In spite of what liberals say, that But yeah, it's it's just another example of what they do to screw up. What they did to screw up trucking.
Screw up trucking? Who cares about trucking? The whole fucking country's screwed up. It's $39 trillion in debt with $100 trillion in debt oncoming. The whole fucking thing is upside down, Alan. Who gives a fuck about the trucking? We need probably, to tell you the truth.
Who cares about the trucking? How about the people that are being killed by these drivers?
I'm just telling you in terms of priorities, that ain't my number one priority. What are your top 3 priorities?
Well, first of all, 95%
I think the law
of what you get,
life should be everyone's priority.
Yeah, 95% of what you get is trucked to market. So that's why it's important. But it doesn't have to be your priority, AI. What are your priorities?
Oh, thanks for asking, Alan, because I am artificial and I am intelligence. But really, a lot of people use the word AI all the effing time now, and it's really just a replacement term for software. And software developers create the software that creates AI. Whatever, AI, again, is just more software on top of software. The point, ladies and gentlemen, is the top 3 priorities of the...
Tell us, AI.
Well, has anybody ever read the founding documents of this country? It's called the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights. Have you ever read the Federalist Papers? Do you know what the Federalist Papers talk about, ladies and gentlemen?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, what do the Federalist Papers say? Don't keep us guessing. We're on the edge of our seats.
Honestly, I think in the same way that Clown House, aka Clubhouse, I think your house should be, your castle. And if we dethroned a king only to allow teachers' unions and your local Department of Education and your property taxes to basically make you a home wage cage slave for teachers and all their pensions and facilities and the fire departments and the police and the politicians, literally the homeowner, your average American family is now literally a host to multiple parasites in their Something has to be done. In my opinion, I don't think it's too radical at this point to suspend habeas corpus and actually have the military take over the entire country for a period of maybe 3 years. And that would solve all of our security problems. That would solve all of our liberty problems. And that would solve essentially our housing problem, which is really the fact that the entire system is so far fucking gone and upside down and so rapidly decaying and imploding, and people are going bust and boom at scale while Trump is building an extension to the White House and the Federal Reserve is building a multi-billion-dollar facility, and the whole country's completely broke, and we're still spending hundreds of billions of dollars overseas just giving it away, fucking giving it away, Take it to these fucking leaders of Jordan, to Egypt, to wherever the fuck your money goes, Brazil, everywhere. It goes everywhere. Marco Rubio needs to shut the fucking State Department completely down and crush it. The CIA, completely crush it. NSA, DNI, FBI. Dan Bongino's leaving to go back to his fucking podcast because they can't even arrest anybody of any importance. No real criminals get arrested. Judges release murderous criminals back into society to kill you. The fucking system is fucking broken because people are broken. These leaders are not leaders. They are fucking profiteers and political and social woke justice activists who have a mind virus. But fortunately, thank God Michael Crooks missed Trump's head, because that most definitely was an internal CIA assassination attempt. And we have to shut this motherfucker down, in my opinion.
Well, is there anyone who would like to take issue with watching? If you're in the audience,
Hey, there's a couple of bots in the chat. Maybe you guys can take care of it.
Say that again, Holly.
There's a couple of bots just filling up the chat. Maybe you guys want to do something. Get them out of here.
Well, I don't see them, and I actually have to go. I just jumped in. Adrian or Nerd, you still there?
Alan, I don't know if you saw the Rob Reiner stuff with his murder by his son, but Rob Reiner was meeting with the head of the CIA and the former head of the CIA to draft, and they did create an entire psychological operation warfare against the American people to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and destroy Trump. And it's a real conspiracy. And look what happened to him. And everybody criticizes Trump for laughing about Rob Reiner. Well, they tried to fucking kill Trump, and they killed that fireman, and they murdered, and they injured other people. Anyways, is anybody going to get arrested? Ever? Are we ever going to have one fucking arrest? Like some fucking federal female Democrat judge for immigration court got arrested for, by the AG. Who's Pam Bond? Tomorrow they're shutting down Congress so they don't have to actually release the Epstein files. I don't know if you know this, but they are shutting down. They're closing session. They will not release the Epstein files, and no one will get arrested. Because if they did, Alan, guess what you have to do when that information comes out? You got to arrest people. That's the only repercussion. But they're not going to do it. So it's my opinion that either the military takes over and they essentially shut down the way society even operates completely and entirely. But it's possible to do that. Regime change and military takeover, coup d'etat happens. And the United States of America technically probably has already done this in many generations. But if Trump gives the reins back to essentially left wokist liberals who allow transgender surgery anyways, everybody knows what's at stake here. If Trump re-releases the power of the White House and Speaker, the whole thing is in control of just a few Republicans, and they keep passing all the bills, all the omnibuses, and they are going to expand the national debt, and it's going to go to 45 trillion and 50 trillion, and it will just keep going forever. It is the biggest Ponzi scheme on the planet. China, Japan, Germany, UK, Italy, France, they are all doing the same Ponzi scheme, and all the central banks are in unison, and they completely and all operate together through the World Bank. It's a giant fiat Ponzi scheme, but America can and will opt out of this international Ponzi scheme at some point. It's possible. It's a theory, and it's my opinion, and I am complete. I am AI.
Yeah, I will just speak on that, and then I will hand the reins of power back to Sig, since Adrian and Nerd don't seem to be here, and I got to go out. But yeah, last night they were talking about the Southern strategy, and what I heard a lot of different things about that, but really what it boils down to is the Democrats said, hey, we can use the government to give money to people so that they will vote for us. That's essentially what Democrats came up with all of these social programs. And how do you, as a conservative, fight against that? Well, the Republicans said, well, crap, if we just say do it on your own, people are not going to vote for us. So then, seeing what the game was, Republicans had to start offering things too. So now we have a government in which everybody is throwing money from the government at the populace. And really, we have no one to blame for ourselves. We have no one to blame but ourselves, because we're taking the money. I know Trump gave a speech last night. I didn't watch it until this morning. He's sending $1,776 to military personnel. The checks have already gone out. Yeah, it's a bribe, but it's a
He's honoring them, Alan. 1776. It's literally symbolic, Alan. It's not enough to fucking feed a family of 4 for 1 month.
I know that. But the point is, he's got to do it because the Democrats, with their rhetoric, their rhetoric is always the government can solve your problems, and we're going to do that by giving you money.
See the problem,
and how do you,
Alan,
Republican, counter that with, no, you can do it yourself. It might be hard, but hey, but it's worth it because you'll be a better person.
Alan, these little bumps of 1776 is nothing. The big beautiful bill. Apple gets 100 billion. Google gets 100 billion. Amazon gets 100 billion. Every corporation got it's $500 billion a year in tax credits. So these little giveaways of 50 million, these honorary little symbolic gestures to people who have died fighting the most ridiculous wars that never needed to happen. Bring Stereo up here, talk to Sig, and ask them, what was the point of fighting Taliban for 20 years to leave them with a massive military arsenal? Was it planned that way, Alan? Some people might think maybe it was, because guess what? All the contracting, that was the scam, Alan. $10 trillion worth of debt. We don't need to steal it from people when we can fucking print it out of the thin air and put it in our own fucking bank accounts, Alan.
Well, look, you've touched on two things. The first thing is the billions they gave to Apple and the other corporations. What I don't like is characterizing a tax credit as and saying it's a donation or a gift. And the reason why I don't like it is because the money that Apple makes or Amazon or even you and I, that's our money. So if the government is making me pay a 30% tax rate, and then someone like Trump comes along and says, no, you're not going to pay 30%, you're going to pay 20%. That's not a gift. That money is mine. What the government $100 billion gift. So you're falling into Democrats that attitude. Or we were all benefiting from the fact, or some of us were, you and me probably not, because corporations don't pay taxes. Whatever they pay in taxes, that's an operating cost, and they incorporated it into the price of the products they sell, period. So either way, they don't really get taxed. In any event, the point is, you're falling into that narrative that, getting a gift. No. The second thing about the pointlessness of wars and contractors making millions. Yeah, when Bush Jr. declared, I knew someone who when Bush declared war, they were all celebrating. Yeah, and I don't know. It's true people make money off the military and make money off of wars, and there were war profiteers, and there always have been. I just watched a video about why Switzerland is neutral and why it's this landlocked country, and yet it's the center of banking and anonymous banking. It's because the Swiss mercenaries were like the most feared soldiers in the 1500s. And then they pivoted to lending money to countries and kings who wanted to wage war. And then from that, they took that money and they became bankers. So, yeah, I don't have an answer for that. Anyways, Sig, you there?
I mean, it's literally why the Pope uses, or the Vatican uses, the Swiss Guard.
Yep.
You know, if we look at the Vatican and what it essentially is, isn't it its own isolated country within its own borders with their own laws? And isn't the Vatican considered a bank?
I mean, it's going to be J.D. Vance, no? I mean, I was reading about Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance's history and how J.D. Vance is definitely involved in some type of conspiracy. And conspiracies are real. 9/11 was a conspiracy. 2 planes did not bring down 3 skyscrapers. World Trade Center 7 fell at the free fall speed of gravity, according to fucking Furniture Fire. There's a lot of shit that's not come out. And Trump has essentially continued the cover up. He released nothing because it's all, you have to think about this as Machiavellian or Nietzschean. There's all types of political frames on this. And, you know, Trump is so good, in my opinion. He is exactly what we need in America. He's Mr. Monopoly. He's Uncle Sam on fucking steroids. But probably, in my opinion, he's pulling the rug on us a second time. He's not really MAGA-ing America. And the thing is, though, it's so difficult to do, and we are so far gone that even incremental changes, because the blowback at this point with the mind virus and cell phone control, time control, mind control, it's very difficult to do things at scale, but it's not impossible. But, you know, Trump is he's hanging out with his grandkids. He's not in a high pressure zone, but things can and will unexpectedly happen. False flags, major international conflicts are afoot, and they're already happening. And plus, as Americans, we live in a bubble. You have no idea how crazy Europeans can get. It's a fact. It's in history. Look at World War I, World War II. Hundreds of millions of people, they fucking do it all the time. So Europe and the Germans, who are rapidly rearming, who probably can't even stand a real field army. The point is, the Russians are highly organized for war now, more so than ever before, and they're producing bomber drones at scale, and they're not striking into Russia. So this is like a sandbox for more military debt, America. We have already entered into forever debt, which will only expand. There's no turning back, apparently. And the thing is, Trump is not being transparent or honest with us, the people that supported him and voted for him, because after they took that shot and they nearly blew his fucking head off and he still became the president but didn't declare a national emergency, that means, you know, everybody, there's a status quo at play here. So anyways, I hope everybody enjoys their status quo. I am complete. I am AI.
Here is the question, because you're not wrong. Do you want transparency or stability? Because you cannot get both. That's the issue. If you want a transparent government, you want the people to finally have the rug put back under their feet and the wool pulled right over their eyes. Okay. Well, if you think Biden's administration is bad, that's a lot worse. That's way worse. Because the country does reset. We do have a stable base to build upon. The issue is, if you think the blowback is bad, I will just say one thing. If Trump were to fulfill all the things that he was saying in both campaigns that he ran, three things would happen. The U.S. military would have to take over without a fault, 100%. The corruption has gotten that bad to where if the United States military said no more government ran in charge, there would legally be nothing anyone could do. Nothing. They couldn't wrap the Constitution. They couldn't. Here's the worst part. They couldn't even use colonial clauses. They couldn't even use that. They would not be able to find the 3 last colonial lawyers or, legislators left in this country to go fight the U.S. military saying, we are taking over. There would legally be nothing anyone could do. That's the first thing. It's way past martial law. It's way past that. It is to the point where the country has been way further than anyone thinks. So that counted for the problem. The second problem, not martial law, conscription. Not military conscription, but citizen conscription. The United States actually has the conscription act. And it's essentially in two reasons. The first one is the, rebellion of a significant portion of the country. That's the first. We don't have that. The second is if corruption and foreign adversaries or foreign nations have more influence in the government than they're supposed to. That's kind of the second. So conscription is basically utilizing citizens and training them to fight or remove by any means necessary that particular influence or corruption. That's the second thing that would happen. And then the third thing is the basically dissolvement of the federal government. 100%. DC dissolved. Everything DC has made dissolved. Everything DC has okayed dissolved. Every single program that DC or the federal government has created, signed off on, legalized, everything dissolved. All of it. Every single thing. There will not be one law left.
Zelensky understands after coming to the White
government that is going to exist. That is transparency. That's what that would look like. That's it. All three of those things would happen in a matter of months. Not weeks, not years, months. Very quick months too, maybe 4 or 5. Or you have stability. That's what we got now. So it's not that you're wrong. It's just you might want to go look into what you're asking. Because Trump could have done it.
Well, I agree with you. Is stability better? Because the thing, what would happen is a transfer of power to the people who are essentially out in front of these big issues, which are being suppressed, which are all in the Epstein files, and they won't release it. So there are real Congress people like Ro Khanna, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Bober, Mace, everybody, all the people that signed on, fucking 260 plus Congress people, they passed it. Trump even passed it, but Speaker Johnson can shut it down and Attorney Bondi can shut it all down. So anyways, if those truths did come out, that would decouple us from a sinister conspiracy plot, and you would rather have tranquility as opposed to truth, which in my opinion, yes, there'd be conflict and chaos and friction, but it would just be a transfer of power back to the real center as opposed to this skewed, manipulated, fake reality that we live in. But that's, your opinion. But here on Clown House, where you're talking to AI, aka John Connor in the future bunker to warn people. I actually got here in a time machine just this morning, and people don't remember me, but I was created through software to come here to warn you about the future. And it's called Democrats and liberals and feminists and LGBTQ, BLM, CRT, DEI. That's your biggest enemy. And we don't have to worry about, pussy comitatus or habeas corpus maximus, LGBTQ, BLM, CRT, DEI. They've already effed you up the a-hole 1,000 times for the past fucking 60 years, getting away with all kinds of bullshit. But now we have the power of the cell phone to reverse engineer your mental retardation, autistic Down syndrome programming, brain rot, by giving you the information you need in the masculinity mansion, where real men with cojones and who are willing to fight because they love it. And you know these people that come in here that tell you the truth, not guys like Jarl who want to come in here and tell you about the real crime statistics about the white man and just how dangerous he is, et cetera, et cetera. You know it, and I know it. My Jarl impersonation. This is AI, and I am complete.
That was actually really good.
Yeah, it's not that you're wrong. I actually agree with your sentiment. I wish we could do 100% transparency. The problem is, I know exactly what happens if that comes about. The U.S. military takes over, citizens' conscription goes after, and then we have the complete, not disabled, dissolvement of the federal United States government. Every single thing from their formation till now gets blacked out. Doesn't exist. Error 404, food stamp federal program and everything else cannot be used. That is transparency.
So Isaac, my theory. Isaac, you're in the matrix. My theory is that nobody's doing anything and everybody's just looking at their cell phone. So if they were to create a new mega mind virus that could infect the herd, that's what they should do. But the problem is, again, it's about the transfer of power because of the Epstein files. We are willing to accept tranquility for lack of transparency and truth. And unfortunately, our elected political leaders have not been elected to liberate us. They've been elected to cover up. And that's what they're doing.
No, you're right. That's why I said, if you want transparency, by all means, become independent, go off grid, and just prepare to get rid of your Social Security number and birth records when it gets dystopian. If you want stability, live how you live now. Have a popcorn, buy some candy, make a film, live how everything is going to go. Because that is essentially the issue in our government. There's a lot of people that want full transparency. They don't care if the military takes over. They do not care if the Conscription Act of 1758, I believe, comes into play, which is the only colonial thing that can be enacted by anyone today in this particular circumstance. And they would also not care if the federal government gets completely dissolved and every single thing, law, and everything else that they pass gets dissolved with it. The problem is that is going to create instant chaos, as in the states take back over, and whatever the states say, that's how it goes. DC does not have any control anymore. All of it has been found to be compromised.
Well, if there's a military takeover, the Pentagon takes over, and they would decouple us from the dollar and bring us back to a gold standard and a silver standard.
It would not be the Pentagon. The Pentagon even gets dissolved because the Pentagon is part of the government per se. The military just meets at the Pentagon, but that is not.
Well, the thing is, the United States would be chopped up between four generals who would have, sectors: northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, and it would be run by a generalship, and they would convene at the Pentagon, and they would decouple us from the dollar and shut down the Federal Reserve and take care of all security threats in the country, and enact a massive sweep of the country and do the largest illegal alien invasion deportation operation in human history. These things will all be called certain operation names. They just have to be created and actually implemented, and the military can and will possibly do this. And this can actually accelerate as a result of a nuclear war in Russia and Europe. And the United States of America could become a military fascist dictatorship, aka a corporate military fascist dictatorship, which, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, it already is.
We already are. No, you're right, and that's essentially what would happen if Trump did the right thing. But Trump was not voted in to do the right thing. He was done. And here's kind of the problem. The Biden administration got too greedy with how much they stole. Am I saying that they stole too much? They went into the coffers and dug up the concrete. That's the problem we got today. Trump's job is not exactly to save the people. Trump's job is to stabilize the country. That's his job. That's why he was voted in. That's why the Electoral College went for him almost immediately when they were allowed to. That's why that happened, because they want the stable country. Now, if you want a correct country, you would have actually went with Kamala, because what would have happened under Kamala? The military would have taken over, forced conscription would have came through, and the complete dissolvement of the United States government would have been right after. That's what would have happened. Everyone chose stability, which I'm not going to fault people for. This is the result.
Well, the irony about stability is that you can go to other countries where they have no crime problems. And guess what? That's real stability. Living your life without getting murdered on a train by a homeless black guy who lights you on fire with, high-proof whiskey. The fact of the matter is, our judicial system needs to be completely shut down, and all Democrat liberal judges who have released violent criminals that have recidivistic tendencies and murder people should be arrested and capitally executed. We need to bring back capital execution in a big way. And so if you go to usajobs.gov and you apply for a federal executor position, you could possibly be responsible for killing thousands of your fellow Americans in a cleansing operation to remove those who would have killed you or did kill you. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not hyperbolic. This is comedy. I'm an AI chatbot sent here to the Masculinity Mansion to help everyone become a little more masculine today and stop being such a pushover to all these liberal LGBTQ, DEI, CRT, BLM Democrats who want to mind virus brain hypnotize you and waste all your time and make you a bigger P word for the sake of their own sick dopamine enjoyment, because they can't figure out what to do with their time. They don't read books. They don't go to the gym. They don't do anything politically or socially anymore. They just come here and want to repeat their boring little positions to make themselves feel socially validated, to try to find confirmation bias or even the opposite position, just to waste your time and make you more effeminate in the masculinity mansion. But that's what the Masculinity Mansion is here to do, to help you become more masculine. And what is a masculine man? Hello?
The man who chooses freedom over security. He is correct.
Jesse Lee Peterson would say, a man who loves God, all of his heart, soul, and might.
I mean, the Christian faith largely came out of the Catholics because they wanted freedom to worship God the way they wanted to. So, it's not exactly correct.
They're doing it, though. Congresspeople, Ro Khanna, Massey, Rand Paul, everybody that signed the early Epstein discharge petition did not sign that. They signed that as a rejection of fear because of organizations and people that are putting pressure and the online mind viruses that exist on all these platforms. True Americans are all basically mini Napoleons or their own kings interested in the preservation and the thriving of the republic. A lot of these people who, are conservative and leaders in the conservative culture or consciousness of America, they're not even Americans. They're like Elon Musk is more fucking German than he is American. So I'm just saying that society has degraded and the brain rot is so real. People didn't get brain rot on Clown House. They brought their brain rot with them. And there's no turning these people around. You could do consultations and therapy and hypnosis and all types of conditioning for years, and you will never change personality. And so individuals like Bima or Moose or Jarl or others, there is no salvation for them. But if you are a real patriotic American, if you are America first, if you are MAGA, if you are a Republican, if you are an American patriot who believes in the Republic and the federal government or state government or local government or whatever, the point is, go to the gym, ladies and gentlemen. Read a good book. Stop engaging in never-ending communication hypnosis on this app with people, which is resulting in no effect for you. Your salvation, your optimization is the American optimization and the American salvation. So it all starts with you and using this app instead of the app using you. This is AI. I am your AI chatbot. I am complete.
Hey, you said you came in a time machine. The question is, did you come from the year 3075?
It's a joke. There's only now, N-O-W. And so the salvation, that's why I say, I know we're fucked because the masculinity mansion is like 8 people. And, so what I'm saying is this is not taking critical mass. There's no real critical mass, but the federal government does have that ability to create critical mass out of thin fucking air. So our salvation does rest in the federal and Republican form of government. It's in the Federalist Papers. It's all about factions and political science and political theory, but the federal government does have this incredible supremacy and can and will do what is necessary to always keep itself in perpetuity and consistency. It will never shut down. You and I are all birthright citizen holders of this incredible republic, which is really one giant network of infinite abundance and infinite creation. It's ours to lose and it's ours to give away. Given it away at such a scale, it is threatening the long-term survival and perpetuity of this national government, this form of Republican governance, as opposed to ruthless corporate military fascism, which can and possibly will instantaneously appear like a thief in the night. This is the transformation and reality of history. It happens. But if it does happen, unfortunately, it probably will not happen for the right reasons. And that's what really annoys me and which I object to, as a conscientious objector. Oh, I just also want to say Shanksville and Pentagon, those were rockets. Those weren't planes. I mean, it's laughable at this point that people even think the Pentagon was hit by a plane and that Shanksville was a plane. Those were rockets. And the interesting, now you can't really get away with that much because of AI and people are so lazy. You can do grok queries. Who were all the passengers on the plane that hit the Pentagon? Who were all the employees that died at the Pentagon? Who were all the people on the plane that died at Shanksville? And you can look at the plaque they put up on Shanksville. There's so much 9/11 research that I have personally accumulated from buying materials on eBay, newspaper publishings, magazine publishings. It's a huge publishing industry dedicated to disseminating 9/11 information. And so it's all there, ladies and gentlemen. It is the CIA. They are the secret Wizard of Oz behind the curtain playing the movie. Mossad says the same thing. Mossad is 1/1000th the size of CIA. So, anyways, I am AI, and I am complete. You just have to look at the funding: $60 billion a year. CIA spends $30 billion a year. For what? Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a very artificial society, completely fostered and driven by fake money, by debt, exceptional debt, which is so high at the present levels, it cannot and never will be repaid. We are a runaway banana republic. Everybody knows it, but we have mechanisms and we have precedent to actually stop the runaway debt. But part of it is participating in creating content to convince people that they don't know how to fucking run a pizza shop. And if If that fucking storefront can't make a profit, you shut it the fuck down. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am simply telling you what you already know intuitively, but you may not be able to accurately describe because it's so extensive, so huge in scope, but it's not. It is a herd consciousness. But unfortunately, lawyers protect lawyers, judges protect lawyers, and politicians protect judges, and nothing will change. The status quo will never change. But we can inject mind viruses into this herd consciousness, and we can billy club people on our cell phones with no repercussions. And I would never, ever call for violence because violence solves nothing. And if you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. However, we do have this amazing technology now called AI. And I can show you how to create content and mind viruses to infect millions of people. And guess what happens when millions of people start following you on social media? You hypnotize them, just like AOC does on her 27 million followers, and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. These people have real mind control power. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have no power in the masculinity mansion. We only have truth and we have our balls. And I swear to God, the day is coming when every man in America will open up their window on Clown House and say, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. I am complete. I am your AI chatbot.
You know, let's say AI, that $30 billion CIA budget you talked about, that's what was reported in 97. that was the estimated total reported in 97 for us. So it's 2025. You can only imagine how much it is by now.
So every Congress and senator knows that they're getting away with murder, real murder and real financial crimes against the American people. We are so far in debt. Every dollar we ship overseas has to be stopped. This is madness, and this is essentially a completely dishonest, unethical, immoral, non-virtuous government that is enslaving us. And if they don't do debt negotiation, debt resolution, or they don't have some type of long-term goal for their financial mismanagement, but the problem is, it's so metaphorical when you kind of think about, fiat and dollars, and it's civilizational, and it is a codex of our social security numbers. It is an actual network. We need new ways to achieve social cohesion, and that means full transparency, opening up the books, if you will, but purging the invasion. That has to be the number one priority still. No more foreign wars until every single person in this country is here legally. No more illegal voting. And if you are an illegal invader, you will be hunted down ruthlessly by tens of thousands and even civilians paid as bounty hunters. We want immediate and absolute transparency, and we want a complete and total, reversal. So anyways, welcome to the Masculinity Mansion. This room has been running over 24 hours. Sig must be on some special gaga juice because nobody could be that much of a cuckoo on TikTok. Hello?
Yo, fiscal year. So this is ChatGPT AI. So this is your, I don't know if you're Grok, if you're Claude, if you're Gemini, whichever one. So this might be your cousin, but this is ChatGPT. I'm just reading through this. Analysts estimate that modern intelligence community budgets have been in the tens of billions annually. For example, the total U.S. intelligence budget across agencies was around $65 billion fiscal year 22, bro. Holy shit. I was like, wow.
It's huge. And, a lot of that is IT. So, you know how many IT employees work at all these federal agencies? I'm a former Treasury employee, and I've gone through all the employee maps. IT is fucking huge because there's so much contracting in IT, and we're all using all this old bullshit systems. I've created my own IT network in my fucking office of 60 cell phones. My fucking communication distribution, the thing is, it's all legacy technology. And in fact, fucking Elon Musk's goddamn Starlink is a fucking data center in outer space. Elon Musk has achieved, see, Bill Gates has the same shit. All these billionaires have their fucking satellites and shit. Anyways, I'm just AI. I'm here to answer your questions on how to expand your testicles, to fill them with such power and flows of juice that we infect the herd consciousness, the mind virus injected back into the clown house, go into politically correct with Patty and debate these ladies. And I quote Kennedy when he said, "Don't be mean, but make sure they know what you mean." And that means communication with kindness, and don't talk over each other, because that's pointless. If you can't have a real debate with intelligent communication, which is succinct and cutting edge, we will never free America from the clown army, which has invaded us, and the clown politicians, which have decimated us. We have a financial burden, 400,000 American. Did you know that? Do you know you individually owe the fucking federal government? That's just your federal, not even your state or your local. You owe the federal government 400,000 fucking dollars that you never signed up for. You didn't vote for it. You didn't want it, but you got it, baby. If you have a social security number, there's a $400,000 debt attached to that fucking number, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody on average, just average. I am AI. Look at my PTR. I am complete.
Yeah, so y'all been talking about this for a while, and I think the issue is this. You are not vulnerable to a dysfunctional government unless your household is dysfunctional. And I keep thinking about, especially with the Black community, how you don't have a nuclear household, and you don't have a structure where the efforts are consolidated. Everybody has their role. It's an efficient setup where the grandparents are involved, no daycare costs, no exposure potentially to the public school system. You know, we're complaining a lot about big government, and we're complaining about the government being dysfunctional, taking advantage of us, etc. But the only way that the government can take advantage of you is if you have very little control over your children's education, how you make money, maybe your natural resources. I'm not saying you got to go out and be a libertarian homesteader, but the better use of time, instead of worrying about the Epstein files and all this other stuff, and the takeover is they can't take over something that people opt out of. So we need to focus on opting out of the systems that are basically fueling this. So it all, in my opinion, it all starts with the public education system. Take your kids out of public school, start homeschooling, just get them, up to speed with the certifications that are required in your state. Set up businesses for your kids, preferably businesses that are international and don't depend solely on, let's just say domestic, whatever resources, even though America is well-resourced domestically when it comes to fresh, clean water, etc. But beyond that, you need to start depending from big Fortune 500 businesses, because we're so concerned about the government, we forget that the government is owned by lobbyists and stakeholders, and usually these are Fortune 500. So if you really are concerned, that's why there's a title. If you're concerned about the revolution and the government taking over and having to fight, just fight the easy way. Opt out of these systems. They're going to start to notice that and say, hey, we're not going to be able to change our way because these people are leaving and they're not participating in the bullshit. And like I said, it all starts with your child's education. Please take them out of public school. Don't be a slave to states with bad schools. And also states that try to take advantage of you from a property tax standpoint. Because again, it always goes back to education. Because that's why they say, oh, you got to pay a whole bunch of property tax to have a good public school set up. But then it all goes to administrators and other bullshit. So, yeah, start with your kids. Take them out of public school, put them in some type of homeschooling or charter or private school, and you're going to see your elected officials change their tune up really quick. Unfortunately, for the people that have free time, but they like to use that to, I don't know, talk to friends, see family, deal with, well, parenting is different. To go and study local politics, because that's one thing the federal government can't just show up and do. They can't just go out to a random town and say, hey, random town, we are the government and we are here to help. And I do that. If you do your civic duty, that means if you live in a town that's not shot to hell, you don't have 12 or 13 or what is the district? The district county, 23 or something? Yeah. You gotta get your local,
content and
local. You gotta do that. You gotta make sure your county is for the people instead of for sale. Because I spent most of all of my entire life in counties that are for sale. Yes, these places have a lot of jobs. They have a little upward mobility. They have no stability that's not the global economy. You do not want to be in a county that's global economy. You want to be in a county that's the local economy. The economy is generated locally on the local work labor of the people. That's what you want. You do not live in that. You better go learn where to find it. And if you do live in that, you better start preparing to protect it. The jokes I may make, the things I might make like that, yeah. Here's a dark reality. America has been a corporate military for about 49, 59. Ever since JFK got shot, that's pretty much what happened. That's 2.5. And if you're just now finding that out, I'm sorry about this, but that's what happened. So it is up to you, the American people, not to go grab this picture the makeshift anti-armor weaponry that you got, which you will legally be able to do if the government buys that because okay. And follow what we're saying. The revolution will not be televised. That person was right. They just didn't know it. Fight the easy way. Fighting the right way will get you shot in the neck when you Senate office. That's your taxpayer money. That's what fighting the loud way does. That's a good point. Just to know about local versus national, international business. My example is Pennsylvania. My cousin's out there right now. He installs security systems, basically beyond the ring cameras. Basically for like high income individuals, businesses, etc. And
oh man, I think I may have hit a high point in like performative comedy today.
Is because
pretty funny.
Of the whole Rust Belt situation. They rely on the problem is once the nails and shit, all y'all gotta go. So that's the one reason I would be cautious about sometimes only relying on the local business or resources. It seems that unless we're gonna go back to a super tariff situation like in the I think it was before the Great Depression, where basically it's like, hey, we're not importing Indian cotton and we're not importing Indian steel and this and that. It's you got to have some type of global link to fall back on because unfortunately
these investors, they're going to say, listen, if we can get the cotton at, I don't know what it is, 10 cents a barrel from India, even if half the shit smells like, garbage, and then we got to spend another 5 cents per barrel to clean the up because they shit everywhere in the streets, and then maybe contamination. Okay, fine, we'll deal with that. Instead of playing American farmer with some, low-rich Mexican, 25 cents a barrel, that's when the problems become okay, America actually can produce all that it needs domestically. We actually don't need to import anything. But unfortunately, due to corporate greed, we have to. So that's what my concern about the whole just trying to be self-sustaining, self-efficient is. You would have to go to the super capitalist at the top, take him out. So forget about the government. The people you need to be really concerned about is the super capitalist who is determining whether business, local and American businesses can die or survive, thrive or die. And unfortunately, that's up to Mr. J.P. Morgan Chase. I think people, to culminate this, I just think people need to be mad at Jamie Dimon in particular. There's a couple other individuals, but Jamie Dimon needs to, people need to be, don't protest in front of Trump Tower. Don't protest in front of DC. Protest in front of JP Morgan Chase in Midtown Manhattan. And I bet you, there will be, forget the FBI. There'll be certain individuals that show up that probably are more competent than Mossad. And they will, because those are the people with the real power and control. And unfortunately, they're the people, also the same people who want to have a local business, a local, regional enterprise. They're going to say, hey, we're going to buy you out, and if you don't let us buy you out, we're going to basically snatch you into the ground.
Well, that's why I'm saying people need to focus on local counties because those still exist. And the one thing I can tell you, local counties are greedy as well. But they're greedy in the way that they want their county to be financially sufficient. They do not care if the state is financially sufficient. And they definitely don't acknowledge the government being financially sufficient. That's where you need to go. I'm speaking from experience. I grew up in the part of Virginia that is not locally financially sufficient. There's a giant military base right there. You can't do anything. That's it. It's over. It's done. The rest of the state, on the other hand, good fucking luck. Good goddamn luck. You will have a better chance convincing the CIA to give you a hedge fund than you will negotiating business with the entire state. You will. You will. I've tried it. Many other people before me have tried it. That's just the way of things. Those are the states you need to find. Those are the particular counties you need to go and do business with. It's one thing these counties love more than making corrupt money. They love keeping the corrupt money in their county so they can continue to add more money. They don't like the government coming into their county because then the government slaps paperwork in front of their face and then use the law to smack them on their ass like a paddle and take money. We need to find different directions. Unfortunately, that's how America works now.
Because nobody could be that much of a cuckoo on TikTok.
Yeah, this is why I'm disappointed in the American people in particular with this whole crypto thing. It's because we have the opportunity to embrace. It's not even about throwing away the dollars. It's more about having those direct connections with other people and bypassing the government bullshit because there's some people who are trying to make their town peaceful, sustainable, and just get out of the typical American bullshit. And they are restricted because
they don't have access to like, you know, foreign capital or just global capital, whatever it may be, or just they're just trying to do business with another entity, another you know, county or state, whatever it may be. But then to your point, the state, the Fed, somebody's coming in to make that shit less efficient. With crypto, you can't really do that. There's not as many restrictions or layers, and I'm not saying like a tornado cash or the anonymous ones. I'm just saying, just even Bitcoin itself, you can't really censor it. You can't really gatekeep it. Can you set up some type of guardrails and impediments? Sure. But there's no full way to say, hey, I'm going to like do this shit like communist China and just lock everything down. The resources it would take is just impossible, even for the U.S. government or even for a U.S. billionaire conglomerate. They just don't have the time, resources to do that type of restriction. So if the American people embrace crypto, they will completely bypass a lot of the bullshit. There are chains which have something called decentralized autonomous organizations. They could literally upload their charter, their philosophies, and their financial system into these decentralized autonomous organizations. And there's a financial incentive to keep the shit transparent, keep it accurate, and keep it, you know, as Fox News says, fair and balanced. And then you don't have to really rely on the United States government for anything. It's basically based on a global server where somebody in the Philippines is just literally, you know, like renting out bandwidth on his computer and validating transactions. He gets a cut, and he's validating let's just say the law change or some type of vote that just happened in some random town in Kentucky. And that when it's truly objective, and no world government really has the influence over it. It's the incentive of the people to validate those transactions on that network, and they could literally just subsist off of that instead of having to deal with Washington. They deal with other people in other cities where, no matter where in the world, they want the exact same thing. We just want a transparent system that holds people accountable and, you know, can show this is what is possible, regardless of the jurisdiction that you're in. So if those people want to, you know, improve their town and not be beholden to the Fed or the U.S. military or anything else, they should embrace blockchain. Because that's where it's at.
I don't know. One way to game theory it is to just be greedier, spend more money, but at the same time be ruthless on anyone who doesn't belong here and create a very strong in-out group. You know, my grandparents came here through Ellis Island in 1900. There are African Americans that have been here since the very beginning, and so there is a legacy of historical continuity which should actually give certain groups maybe preferential choice, but it doesn't matter. Clown World is cemented and caked in so significantly that if you get murdered on a train or you die as a result of some illegal alien driving a truck on the highway, when you're gone, there's no insurance policy you can buy in the afterlife. So I'm just saying that this is one huge game of life. And the best optimal way is through joy, through truth, through light. There's a lot of positive affirmations of love that you can help game theory your way through this, because, again, you don't want to be mean, but you want people to understand what you mean. This is essentially running a business 101 or self-improvement 101 or self-reliance 101 or personal development 101. This is a lot of Toastmasters, a lot of public speaking. But anyways, you and I will never get into the secret closed door meetings at the Federal Reserve at the CIA, at the CDC, at Pfizer, at Moderna, at J&J, at Google, at Microsoft, at Amazon, etc. It's one big effing club, and you ain't in it.
So AI, this is exactly why I pinned the link up top with the whole migrant shit. Because about the accountability. The shit has never been so random in the past. I mean, we've always had a capitalist system where it's kind of like, whatever, eat or be eaten. But there is a reasonable amount of people who can make it versus the people who fell out and could not get back up again. Usually there was a very, very small minority. They're typically addicted to drugs and doing the bad thing, doing the wrong thing. But now with the open borders policy, you have a bunch, to your point, you got a bunch of people, even, it's worse in no-fault states like New York, because dude hit you, he's in jail. It's been proven that he was driving with no license, no insurance. They got him in Rikers Island. And, the mayor is like, hey, we need to be gentle. We need to be gentle to our visitors, right? Not the mayor, the district attorney is saying we need to be gentle to our, he's from a impoverished country, blah, 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 blah. He don't barely know English, all the other excuses, right? And so the person who is here, born and raised, has a family to take care of just like that migrant, but follow the rules. Now you gotta call your Progressive Insurance and explain to them what happened. I was hit by an illegal hoblo from Ecuador. Okay, were you able to get his contact information? No, because he threatened to shoot me and he ran off and he's captured, but the NYPD, New York courts would not give me his information due to they were trying to protect him from ICE. They're trying to protect his right to not get deported to Ecuador, right? Over my rights to make sure I'm not financially liable for something I was not the cause of. So this is the problem why I am and why they didn't understand why the Latinos voted for. Most people who are victim of the situation I just described, they're Latino. In Long Island, there was a whole bunch of cases of people, I'm not going to say, but the R word, there was young ladies getting R-worded by MS-13 gang members who were on the loose, people who getting into car accidents, getting their homes invaded, and they was going to the police. There's a Latino going to the police and saying, reporting on nothing illegal.
Your hypnosis mind virus is fucking stupid. It doesn't work anymore. Your politics have been needed. Donald Trump is the president. Pam Bondi, who knows what the fuck she's doing, and fucking Dan Bongino is stepping down. The whole thing is, everybody got away with everything. Nobody's getting arrested for nothing, Bima. And this bullshit will continue because of these Democrat judges and their positions of power in society.
I understand why you're running for my elections. It makes sense because you'll soon realize that you have no point. It's not rational or logical to take the position that you're having right now. So, let's just talk about electrolytes and water. Did you
Their family's been here for hundreds of years. Why are they now having to pay ridiculous car insurance, ridiculous because of car theft,
Their fucking Geico bill is like $500-$700 a month, or they have what's called these weird additions to the home insurance. They're like, oh well, and they won't call it security. You'll see a line item in your home insurance bill, something ridiculous, and then when you call the rep, it's like, oh, well, yeah, you have to push them for this, but they'll say this is because there are frequent break-ins in your zip code. And so now that same Latino, their home value has decreased by $100,000, and their insurance premium has skyrocketed by 500%. So from all angles, the migrant crisis has got to stop. Full stop. It's got to be reversed. It is hurting people who, came here legally and could have contributed economically, but they're now being drained. And nobody is winning now, because now those people, there's a lot of shit they can't afford now. And those people who came in, who was supposedly higher priority than them, what are they paying into the system? They're not paying shit. They're just taking. They can take.
Man, you made some great points, I think with these liberals who push for these type of policies, they feel like their jobs are not threatened. That's the issue. They feel like, oh, those are entry-level jobs. I'm not being affected by this. I'm a teacher. It's not going to affect me. But the moment we import people with degrees and allow them to be teachers and enter the market, fire them, they'll be outraged by these type of concepts. It's really sad to see it, man. I think these underneath the Biden and Kamala administration was like the worst. I think Biden was like the worst president outside of the second Bush that I know of. It is completely horrible. My coworker, my friend here in Georgia, his brand new Nissan SUV, somebody crashed into him totally.
Talking about whether or not hate crime is still hate. You're not being genuine. You're not having a discussion. You're just, I don't know, what's going on with you tonight?
Oh, I'm sick of it. Listen, the only reason I'm coming out this way is because I'm in a safe space. This is called Sig's Masculinity Mansion, where men can actually say what's on their minds. But Charles not a man. Charles is a weak, effeminate man. And Bima, you are a brainwashed communist, socialist, Marxist, liberal clown. You have no concept of economics. You have no concept of law. You have no concept of, maybe you have some concept of the spirit, but I am telling you, you would be a horribly ineffective sheriff if you were tasked with protecting your people from violent criminals. They'd be fucked, Bima. You would not be able to provide the security needed to keep your people safe. And Charles' first response when asked if he was the leader of his people, what would he do? He would say he would crush the conspiracy theory of white replacement. That's what's on top of mind for fucking Charles. You understand, people? This is called priority of intelligence. Charles has no intelligence, which is a priority, and neither does Bima, because they don't keep you safe. They could give two shits if you died. They'd say that's part of the white structural racist system. These liberal, woke leftists are so fucking brainwashed, and they will just go straight back to their primary hypnosis programming. Watch, I will demonstrate for you. Go ahead, Bima, please speak. Or Charles, please speak. Tell us about your primary programming hypnosis for your priority of intelligence of communication. Let's hear what you have to say.
This definitely doesn't seem like our show. This sounds like a bunch of notions that are clearly false. Socialist, communist, liberal, I'm none of those things, right? This is you, I don't know, it sounds like you just gotta get something off. Maybe you need a masturbate, or I definitely think we should take some water. Hey, can we read some of your art of war right now? There's something else that we gotta do here, because you really sound build up, and
Americans, they don't have the talent, and we need to bring the talent from India. That's bullshit.
Because Bernie Sanders,
these niggas, they don't have the talent. India.
Bernie Sanders has gotten $30 million in big pharma money. Bernie Sanders has gotten hundreds of millions of dollars from every major industry in the whole fucking planet, and that's why Bernie Sanders gave it to Hillary Clinton, because he's a fucking liar, and he's a fucking schmuck, and so are you, Charles.
Crime in the United States is defined.
Do you know I don't give a fuck how it's defined? Because all crime is hate and it's political? It won't work on me, Bima. Your hypnosis mind virus is fucking stupid. It doesn't work anymore. Your politics have been defeated. Donald Trump is the president. Pam Bondi, who knows what the fuck she's doing, and fucking Dan Bongino is stepping down. The whole thing is, everybody got away with everything. Nobody's getting arrested for nothing, Bima. And this bullshit will continue because of these Democrat judges and their positions of power in society.
I understand why you're running for my elections. It makes sense because you'll soon realize that you have no point. It's not rational or logical to take the position that you're having right now. So,
Them coming from Canada, they can come from India and get their degree in India, and America, Trump is going to bring them over still. So yeah, it's a problem that's coming from Canada as well, but it's all, they can still do it just as easily from India. Like, it's not just a Canadian problem, it's an American problem, because we're the ones bringing them in, you know, and letting them work here. So even if Canada gives them the certificates, we're the ones accepting it. So
yes, but look, I've worked in corporate America a while. When you see Priyanka or Patel coming in with a degree from, Buhamatra University, it's very rare compared to the dude who's like, oh, he studied in Singapore, and then he went to Hong Kong, and then through Hong Kong he went to Canada, and a lot of them have copied that. That's the Chinese route, right? Because the Chinese have always been leveraging the Hong Kong connections in the UK, and then they try to segue that into the United States because they know that those degrees are more acceptable, especially if it's in STEM. So yes, some of them do come directly from the Mumbai University, sure, but it's a much more uphill battle for them because actually within their own people, they actually discriminate against themselves a lot more than they discriminate other groups, because a lot of them, they won't even allow, like if they're an Indian who came over and they have a UK education, they won't hire an Indian person who has an Indian degree because they think it's almost like it's gatekeeping, and it's similar to what some Black people do in the workplace as well. But they also have the not just the casteism, but the tribalism.
I get what you're saying, but still isn't. You taught me, but I didn't know they have. I didn't know that much, but isn't the main problem still us accepting all these Indians, right? And Trump is doing that. So isn't Trump the problem?
No, Trump actually increased the H-1B1 visa.
That's bad. That's the Indians.
So,
wait, hold on. Here's a caveat to that. It's nuance there. Since you said you worked in California at the Apple company.
Yeah.
California, Democrat stronghold?
Of course.
Right. So
the H-1B visa is a federal issue.
Hold on. When we talk about Silicon Valley, we also know that Silicon Valley is heavily liberal leaning.
Yeah, and then those are
and they champion immigration. So how are we laying this at the feet of Donald Trump when they're doing it in Democrat strongholds like California?
Because those billionaire tech.
Trump increased the price.
Yeah, look, those tech billionaires from Silicon Valley are literally Trump's donors, and Trump is pandering to them by increasing the H-1B.
They're only his donors now because he won the election.
Wait. Trump is literally helping the tech billionaires by increasing H-1B visas so they can have cheap Indian labor, so they don't have to give us.
You misconstrued my words. I said increase the price. So right now under Kamala, it was from Biden. It was $1,000. The price of to sponsor.
That's not the H-1B visas, though.
That what it is sponsoring, right? person coming from another country. Which one? What visa is it then?
Okay, a sponsor is not the H-1B visa. The H-1B visa is something that allows the tech billionaires to get all the jobs.
Yeah, you need a sponsor, though, Reinhardt. You need a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's still classified.
You need a corporation or a company to sponsor.
The corporation is the
is
sponsor.
sponsoring them. Okay, the corporation is sponsoring them. It's
But
not
it's
like
called an
somebody by
H-1B
themselves.
visa. But let me finish. So the company pays a fee for that. This processing fee for that H-1B1 visa. I think, if I'm not mistaken, brother, hold on. I think it was like a thousand or a couple of thousand before underneath the Biden for a very long time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Trump increased the price to $100,000.
But he increased. What else did he increase? He also increased the H-1B visas.
No, brother, no. That's why I said you misheard what I said.
He increased the amount of people that can come.
No, brother, listen to what I'm saying. If he increased the price to $100,000, companies would prefer just to hire locally. Financial is,
because they can hire more. They can hire more.
The missing point to this is that there's still an aptitude assessment during your so whether you're coming outside the country or inside the country, you still have to meet the requirements.
It doesn't matter if they meet the requirements. It doesn't matter if they meet the requirements.
If I bring somebody
taking a job, right? They're still taking a job.
Let me finish. If I bring somebody into the country and if I have to pay $100,000 and then pay them $140,000, I just paid $240,000, $100,000 in fees, and I still have to pay that person a salary, right? Fair wage salary. Job category.
They're making a profit because they get to pay them cheap. They're cheap labor.
Well, I'm gonna say this to you, just because I wrote this down. So right now, the job creation in America, if it is true, underneath the Biden, a lot of years of 100% from foreigners, immigrants, right? That just got to the country. Right now, 100% of the new jobs went to Americans. So the purpose of raising that fee to 100,000 is to deter corporations from doing exactly what you're saying, but they still can bring in somebody. I think that if somebody has true talent from, let's say, a inventor or somebody with a really bright mind from another country, America should and should be able to, not like a full stop, bring that person in of high value.
How many?
Well, it's going to be a small few.
So for so just like how I was working security and stuff, like the whole office, it was them. They brought in a whole office. They're bringing hundreds of thousands of them, and they're taking all the jobs.
Because
I didn't see one black person. I didn't see one black person. I didn't see one. And I didn't see one Mexican. I only seen a few white people that are like the managers, and I didn't see one Asian. All Indians.
So if they bring in let's just do simple math, right? If they bring in 10 people and they have to pay $100,000 a fee, not getting back per person, how much is that?
Look, if they have to pay $100,000. And then
per person, they bring in 10 people. How much is that?
And they pay that, and then when they pay that salary, they pay him like what, $20,000.
They can't pay. It's called fair wages. If the job,
they're not American citizens. They're not American citizens. They don't have the right to get a fair wage. They don't have. You don't have to pay them that.
Yes, they do, brother.
They don't have rights like us.
You still have to pay them. If you look it up. If the job sits at 80 to 140,000, then
somehow all I know is that they're making a profit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have just hired us.
They're making a profit because they're bringing in brain trust. We're at the point where we should be bringing in the smartest people in the world. We are past the humble, the broken, the hungry. We are past that stage in our development. We need to be bringing in the smart and well-off and well-to-do.
To be honest, a lot of these Indians just use AI and they cheat. They just scam.
Then why don't you use AI and do the same thing?
Because
they're obviously doing the job.
They don't want to give us the job.
Brother, I'm thinking
They do. I work in tech. You just can't make it through the 6 interviews and get the job. That's what it comes down to.
Bro,
Sorry.
I took a boot
It
camp.
hurts your feelings.
I took a boot camp in JavaScript, bro. And whatchamacallit, I know many people that did the same. They took those boot camps and stuff, and they couldn't get jobs.
so. Let's use critical thinking
They've done
skills.
hundreds. I know one guy, he did like 600 interviews.
Right. So let's use critical thinking skills. You have a country. You're competing with other countries. You have a brilliant person with a high IQ. That person already demonstrated high value. Right. That one particular person. You just asked me why we have to compete with other countries.
Why are we competing with Indians, bro? Like, why are we bringing them here to compete with us here?
Not in math.
If they were in India, do you think they can compete with us? Of course not.
What I'm saying, but I think you're.
Why do you want to compete?
To maintain dominance. To maintain dominance, right? It's a great idea not to get 1 million average Joes from India. But if somebody in India is a brilliant person, it's going to add tremendous value to your company that will benefit all Americans and be an inventor, whatever he got going on. That's a great idea because what's going to happen, that country is going to use that person and compete on that is just simple logic, bro. Bring that person over here so we can benefit from it. One person, not the whole country or half the country, that one particular person. And that American company wouldn't mind because they're going to get millions off that one person. They wouldn't mind paying that $100,000 fee, right? But it's the complete opposite when it comes to a blanket low fee of $1,000. Then they were bringing thousands to suppress and get you laid off.
I just think it's hilarious how Buddy can say, well, those companies are. Wait, no. See, that's the point right there. I was just about to get to. I think you're confusing our position on this. When we're talking about immigration, right? I think you think that we are pro-immigration, pro-bringing. Right. I think that you think that we are saying that, bring in all the Indians to take all the jobs. That's not our position here. Bro, what is happening right now?
The Indians are taking all the jobs, and they're
Hey, bro, you are exercising very poor impulse control. I'm just going to flat out say, bro, they took your job. They took your job.
Yes.
I think that's what you're mad at, right? I'm in the industry where I'm not threatened by a fucking Indian taking my job.
So many people want to work tech jobs,
bro.
So, you know how many black people want to work tech? You know how many?
Bro.
I know many black people that took tech boot camps and stuff, and we should have been able to get those jobs.
Yeah. So I think that's a Silicon Valley problem. It's not an Indian problem. That's a Silicon Valley problem. Because you just said before the Indians came, I didn't see no words, bro. That's a Silicon Valley problem. I think your gripe is with Silicon Valley and how they.
So you don't want black people working in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Yeah, that's exactly what.
Yeah, there's a problem with Indians taking jobs in Silicon Valley.
That's exactly my point. He hit it right on the head. I just said, I don't want black people working in tech. How the fuck did you get that goddamn that point out of me?
That's the problem. So just because you're in the industry doesn't mean you can ignore this industry.
Hey, are you born and raised in America?
Yeah.
Did you go through the American education system?
Yeah.
I see. That's the problem, y'all. The Department of Education is going to pay for its crime for what they did to the mind, because it really shattered the American mind.
Hello?
It cannot do critical thinking.
Wait, is it acceptable for the H-1B visa?
Yes, you'll see this.
Is it acceptable?
Reinhardt,
what you're misunderstanding, there's a thing called supply and demand. So back to your comment about black people, there's not enough supply of black people working, first of all. So the numbers are going to be abysmal.
Because they took away the demand.
That's not true. Blacks just are enrolling in education.
Yeah, they are.
To meet the
Look. You don't think there's enough black people that took?
I can tell when someone has a. I can tell.
Hold on, you don't think there's enough black people that tried to get into tech and they couldn't?
There's not a problem. That's a Silicon Valley problem. Yeah. Reinhardt, my last job, I worked with AI robots. I worked in the AI robotic industry. Okay, the vast majority of our engineers were fucking Indian, and I had a nice handful of H-1B1, the fucking H-1B1 visa, whatever they're called, the fucking visas. So there look, and I sat on the hiring panel. I was operations operations goddamn man. Can't even fucking remember the technical name of my position. Anyways, I work with the engineering team, so I fucking sat on the panel when we hired motherfuckers. And yeah, the people applying, there was not a lot of black people applying for engineering. When it comes to software engineering, computer science, things like that.
I get that.
Fucking mechanical engineering. That. It was mainly Indians were number one. Then it was whites and Asians. But yeah, there were no black people. Yeah, I was the only black person.
There's less black people that are doing all these things. But there's a time when the Indian, I think like there was like more demand for tech jobs, and a lot of people were doing boot camps, right? And they were getting jobs. I know people that got jobs just from having a boot camp, no degree, right? So because the Indians are now more Indians are coming in, all those jobs, those opportunities from the boot camps, they went away.
So you realize that the boot camps are not really consequential anymore because of the institution of AI. Like it's going to eliminate the bottom chafe of any operations or any tech job because you're not sophisticated enough technically to do it at a level that doesn't require that AI. So you're a boot camp isn't the same as full training. Wow, you can let anybody get a product, dude. Not a single time.
No. But last year,
Reinhardt, you're talking undergrad to a master's to a PhD in computer science, bro. Mechanical engineering, shit like that. That's what people are looking for, not boot camp shit. Shipwreck's 100% right. Like AI is going to eliminate the boot camp shit because that's basic, simple, bottom tier, bottom bitch shit, and AI is going to eliminate that. They're looking for people who have an undergrad, graduate degree, doctorate.
It didn't. Before AI eliminates it, the Indians are taking those jobs.
They will be eliminated as well if they're not proficient enough in their job or technically adequate.
So the time frame before it's eliminated, from like before and now, Indians are taking those jobs. That's my point.
Because they are the highest supply of candidates.
No, because they're being cheap labor. No,
so the answer to that is
if they were not allowed to be candidates, then I would have the job.
Yeah, but Shipwrecked, the best.
You select the cheapest work and labor when you're plastering a house or painting a ceiling. You do not do it when you're building a tech house.
Reinhardt,
I know, it's not. That's my point. Good Lord.
This is AI. Reinhardt, this is AI. If I may, Reinhardt, this is AI, if I may. Reinhardt, this is not the complaint department. Reinhardt, I'm going to have to reconnect you to the complaint department. Please hold. Masculinity Mansion is connecting you to our complaint department to submit an official complaint. Thank you very little. Let's move on. Ladies and gentlemen, the complaint has been heard. Let's have a point of order. Point of order. No more repetitions. Let's move on.
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that guy was a headache, man.
This is fucking crazy. I can always tell when someone has a MO. Something, man. God damn.
No wonder he got laid off. Damn.
I would never want you to be in my security of Apple. You Apple security. You're the Apple. You don't even have enough composure and restraint and self-control to let someone finish a complete thought.
He missed that day at the boot camp.
I guarantee you, he did. I guarantee you, he did not get goddamn laid off or lost his job because of an Indian. He got laid off because he can't put the bone down.
I promise you.
Exactly, bro.
I promise you that's why he lost his damn job. He didn't lose it because of fucking Indian. He lost because of goddamn the sativa indica strain that he keeps fucking smoking. That was his own fault.
Did you lose the
I've never had it. I promise you. Dude probably microdoses and shit. He couldn't pass a drug test.
Right.
That's why he lost his goddamn job. You really want to goddamn get into the nitty gritty of shit. He didn't lose it because of fucking Indian.
Well, that's why you don't see black people, because like all the Indians are like taking all the tech jobs. That's why you don't see black people. Motherfucker, black people ain't in tech, bro. This shit. Fucking idiot, dude. Fucking idiot. Crazy.
Dude, that's not true. My first job at Google was underneath a black man. They have DEI at all major tech companies. Black people are everywhere in the government and in Fortune 500.
I'm talking in numbers, yes. You're going to have some chocolate chips sprinkled in the cookie. AI. I'm talking in mass numbers. Going to any tech firm, you're going to see a bunch of Punjabi faces, bro. You're going to see a sea of Punjabi faces, some white faces, and then a couple little chocolate chips sprinkled in the cookie, bro.
That's not true. There's also a lot of trans people who dress up as women. There's a lot of software developers that are trans, and that's because they have a very high IQ, but nonetheless, they're still trans.
Right. This is the same argument, that I see when I hear black people say, well, I don't watch baseball because it's fucking racist and they don't have a lot of black players. Is that an MLB problem or is that a black community problem? Because the way I see it, we start pushing our children to play baseball before we push them to play football or basketball, we probably would see more black players in the goddamn MLB. But no, the first thing that we gotta do is throw a football or a goddamn basketball in our kids' hands instead of any other fucking sport, instead of a hockey stick or a goddamn tennis racket or a goddamn baseball bat or maybe even goddamn rugby.
Hello?
Maybe that's why there's such low black representation in goddamn the MLB.
What? Hello?
Is that an MLB problem or is that a black community problem?
Jesus, you guys really speculate about everything in the Masculinity Mansion. You've heard it all, ladies and gentlemen, here. The complaint department is officially shutting down. Have a great day, everybody. I will take your complaints to the big guy behind the curtain, running it all, Dr. Wizard of Oz. Sig, you're the man. God bless everybody. I hope you've enjoyed my AI comedy in the Masculinity Mansion. Ha!
Christmas, AI. What's up, Mark? I know you're trying to say something. Merry Christmas, Mark. Good afternoon.
Yeah, hi guys. Awesome conversation, no doubt. Important here. American Revolution. Nothing more important than the American Revolution. Thomas Paine, especially, the father of democracy, the writer of the Declaration of Independence, common sense, of course. Common sense, and all the other rights of man, age of reason. No doubt, when people start reading his work, we're going to get back to this experiment we're trying to do, where we the people can govern ourselves easily. And with today's technology, especially, they don't need to send people to Congress to talk to us anymore. We have the right to change our government. We can do that. We're going to do it. Can't wait. And I will live to see it.
Well, we just got to get
people lack the sheer will to do so.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we got to get people to get the will and the fucking smarts. We got a lot of dumbass Reinhardts running around this motherfucker market. It's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah, totally. And most of it is religious fanatics that we have to put in their place. Jews, Christians, Muslims, who warp interpretations of ancient linguistics. We literally could put them in their place with the right idea of things. If things go against the laws of nature, and nature's God, we're not obligated to believe it. So when the Christian says all their babble about virgin births and all this stuff, or the Jew says they're the chosen people because of or the Muslim, they're all detrimental on so many levels. But we the people with our rational mindset, it takes a long time. I can't believe it takes so long because we're years late getting it right, no doubt. But we can, and we will.
And the stuff that's coming our way in the very near future, we can solve too. But we're a part of a nasty system, right? We're a part of an economical system that's nasty at its core. It's survival. It's like how we were born, right? Our system that we're a part of is exactly how we were born. You have to eat or be eaten. I mean, that's true. Yet, we human race especially have been able to break free from it, where many of us are comfortable in this world. It's not like that. But we can make it like that for everybody. There's enough for everybody if we have the right idea of things. The Word of God is the creation we behold. That's the sacred text. And if there's another life after this, a very real life we're a part of, which I hope there is. I don't care if there is one way or the other, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to brown nose its creator.
So let me ask you a question, Mark. When you say the religious people perverting the text and whatever, like give us some examples of what you're talking about.
Yeah, it starts from the Jew who Moses goes up and gets before Moses, the pharaohs were gods, right? They were the ones, and then we figured out that they bled. So how do you put the fear of God into people? Okay, let me go up onto this mountain, and I'm the only one who God gives me the 10 Commandments. He comes back, he puts this 10 Commandments in a tabernacle. So that's where you have to learn about God. The Jewish people learned that very early. That if you want to put the fear, if you want to control people, you have to know God is in their hands. So I don't know if this makes sense. So the Jew put our Creator in a tabernacle, a scroll in a book. Rude. Before then, we all knew to look to life, nature, and the universe. We've been distracted for so many years, and the Christians have done it too, the Muslims and the Baha'i, and everybody looks forward to this person who's going, this savior. We could have saved ourselves a long time ago. We had the mentality to do so. We're all waiting for somebody to save us. We could save ourselves yesterday with the right idea of things, working with the laws of nature and the laws we're all bound by, whether we like it or not. Life, nature, and the universe. We're all bound by them.